till on Jersey in the stands. I'ma hit you on a slide.
Having a rough morning, Jay.
What's going on, Tom?
I'm like, woosah, woosah. And as I say woosah, I realized there's a lot of people don't know what that is. Not only that, a friend of mine has a son. And his son is, and this is going to laugh because a lot of people watching this will be like, wow, that's how old I am. His son, I believe, just turned 20 or maybe 21. And he said, someone said to him, or he heard this saying. And it's very popular among kids. And so it made me ask the question. So, bye, Felicia. And so I said, do you guys know what that's from? And they don't. And I went, hold on. You're all saying, and I know this is old. I'm even dating myself with this, but I'm like, I kind of said, do you know what movie that's from? And they're like, no, it's just funny. Bye, Felicia. And I'm like, no, it is funny. I go, it's from the movie Friday. And they're like, what's that? I go, oh, how are we? So woosah, first of all, from Bad Boys, I believe, if Martin Lawrence rubbing his ear, woosah, trying to calm himself down. So that's what I do. That's what I learned it from Bad Boys. But then even that, they're saying bye, Felicia, and they don't know.
I have no idea where
they don't even know the movie it's from. So, and that's not why I'm stressed. But anyways, I digress. Let's move on. Let's talk sports. I'm good. I'm fluent. He's chill. Whew. All right. So you're chill. See, you're supposed. This is why we talk. It's to calm me down. We've got a conspiracy. Bloody sock conspiracy. We are into the final four of the greatest franchise starting lineup of all time. But first, the NBA playoffs. We're into round 2. My pick, my Memphis Grizzlies, have tied up the series. Thank you very much. Ja, my second favorite player in the NBA, drops a 40-piece. But let's start with what you want to suspend Dillon Brooks.
Absolutely. He should be suspended for what he did. No question about that. Not only was it egregious, it was dangerous. The dude is out for the rest of the playoffs. He did not make a play on the basketball. Not only did he not make a play on the basketball, Gary Payton got hurt, and he's out for the rest of the playoffs. Now, there's a difference understand the difference, Tone, between a dirty play and a dirty player. Dillon Brooks does not have the reputation as being a dirty player. Right. So there's no history there. However, that was a dirty play. And because that was a dirty play. Was it? Absolutely it was, Tone. The wind up, he didn't even go for the ball. He hit him in the head.
I feel like he did go for the ball. When I look at it, I see like he's going for the ball and like, look, he doesn't get there and he hits him in the head. So I want to pause you there and ask a question. So what you saw was he didn't go for the ball. For me, it looked like he went for the ball. He didn't have the hops to get up to as high as he needed to. So that maybe it's debatable. Maybe it's more, listen, he got ejected from the game. Are you suggesting his suspension be because, like, what if Gary Payton lands and doesn't get hurt? Do you still want him suspended?
Absolutely, I do want him suspended.
Yeah,
okay. And the reason why I want him suspended is to set the precedent. Now, the logic, Draymond Green wasn't suspended. Well, Draymond Green, who has a history, by the way.
And let's be clear, absolutely no basketball play there.
Right.
You can't even make the debate that he was trying to do something basketball.
Well, he hit Clark in the face, right? He hit Clark in the face, which I don't think that he was trying to hit, but he did hit Clark in the face. Then he grabs his jersey, which it looked to me like he was trying to hold him up. Like he wasn't trying to.
It looked to me like he was pulling him down.
It looked like he was trying to break his fall. Like I'm not gonna let this dude fall in his face. Now, Dillon Brooks, on the other hand, he was already wound up running to Gary Payton II. And not only was he wound up running to him, he didn't even try. It looked like he just swiped like recklessly and just hit Gary Payton right in the head. And the fact that he ended up getting hurt, that just compounds the suspension. Now, if Gary Payton didn't get hurt, I don't think that we have I'm not sure that we have a suspension, but the fact that he did that just compounds it.
But I don't think we can make decisions based on the outcome.
That's exactly why we make decisions, Tone. That's why they turn into flagrant 2 fouls. So if you end up clotheslining, or if you end up pushing me and I just fall and I hit my butt and I bounce right up off the floor, as opposed to I fall and break my arm, that's way different. That's completely different.
So if I said illegal screen,
yeah,
you hit me and you fall and land on your arm and break your arm, I should be suspended?
Hence the term legal. Now, if you set an illegal screen on me, there's a difference.
Okay.
Right? If you went after me and you set an illegal screen on me and basically drove me out of bounds, and I end up in the first row and I break my arm, absolutely you should be suspended for that. Because not only is that egregious, it's reckless. And now what we're doing now is we setting the precedent that if we don't clean up this kind of behavior, it's going to turn into something way worse. No question about it.
So if Joel Embiid in the first round nails somebody twice in the back and knocks him to the ground, if he falls, he did fall, by the way, not even a foul. If he falls and breaks something, he should have been suspended.
Let's take that play out of it for a second. So how about the Scotty Barnes play when Joel hit Scotty Barnes in the face, basically trying to block his shot, and with the weak hand hit him in the face.
Right.
Now if he breaks Scotty Barnes' nose doing that in the process, absolutely we need to have a conversation about him being suspended. No doubt about that.
So when he steps on his foot and pushes him and that rolls his ankle and he misses a couple of games, should he have been suspended for that?
When it's something that's egregious and it's reckless, absolutely. Not only is it reckless, it causes injury. Hell yeah! Because what you're doing is that
I just have consistency. If it's consistent,
right?
I'm okay with that. All right.
Right. We amplifying it.
All right. So Dillon Brooks, I think he made a play on the ball. You think he should be suspended? I will say this: in the places where it's like egregious, like it's 100%, like okay, that one. I think maybe it's 60-40 that he was, you think probably on the other side that he wasn't going for the ball. I think he wasn't, just missed. But I think in cases where someone clearly does something, like if I walk up to someone and I think back to the Jokic play, I think as the Embiid play where you push someone in the back as an example. So clearly it's not a basketball thing. It's whatever. If that person gets hurt, that I've always said you should be out as long as that person's out. If it's that dirty, where it's like, look, accidents happen. Like I think back to, I want to say it was Norman Powell, or maybe it was Danny Green going at Klay Thompson in the finals, the Warriors-Raptors finals, and he takes out Klay Thompson. Look, that was a play on the ball. It was really unfortunate how it happened. He comes down, he gets hurt. I get it. Stuff like that where it's just like, it happens.
And it could happen to anybody.
And it can happen to anybody. Different.
Yeah.
But if you clearly, like, if you do something that's just straight out, like it's not basketball at all. You grab a person and you throw them. You push them from behind. Like it's clearly not an accident. Yeah, I feel like if you hurt someone, you should be out as long as they are.
Well, think about a crime, Tone. I mean, the charges get elevated by what?
Yeah, by the outcome. Yeah,
absolutely. That's how the charges get elevated.
You go from manslaughter to
murder.
To murder.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
good point.
When you got a guy like Gary Payton II or Brandon Clark who wasn't hurt, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was on the fence about it, Tone, about Draymond with that play being a flagrant 2. I was on the fence about it, and I think that what amplified it was the jersey getting grabbed. That's what elevated it.
It made it look worse. It made it
look worse. I mean, guys get hit in the face and stuff like that all the time. All right, but that made it look worse. With that play with Gary Payton II, right from the beginning, that looked bad. And the fact that he got hurt, that amplifies it. And for that reason right there, the charges get raised.
Okay. I keep saying I want consistency, right? Like I know I keep going back to this series and I promise it's the last time I'm gonna bring it up, but like the amount of elbows that Joel Embiid throws to people's faces and he doesn't even get any flagrants, and then anyone else who hits someone in the face gets a flagrant. I'm just like, just be consistent.
You got to remember too, Tone. You got to remember too what we're talking about, Tone. Dillon Brooks is not Joel Embiid.
But see, I don't like that either.
I know you don't.
I don't like the superstar call.
Well, that's the part of the game. Because Kobe Bryant got the superstar treatment. Jordan got the superstar treatment. James, yes, they should, Tone. And the reason why they should, yes, they should. And the reason why they should is because number one, that's the reason why you don't care about Dillon Brooks. You couldn't care less about Dillon Brooks, Tone.
Dillon Brooks,
no, you don't. Not nearly as much as you care about Kobe Bryant, though.
Well,
so if Kobe Bryant, there you go. So if Kobe Bryant gets kicked out of a playoff game, that lowers your interest. We can't have that.
But for me, I've always said a foul is a foul is a foul. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, whoever does it. Now, listen, there's going to be inherent superstar calls where maybe I touch them less and they get the call. Like they get the benefit of I'll give that. The benefit of the doubt, I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Right? Like, James Harden, he's so good at doing that under move where he hooks your arm as he's shooting and he gets the foul that sometimes he does it and you don't even touch him and he gets the foul. I get it. He's done it for 10 years and so now he gets the benefit of the doubt that if it looks like it happened, they're going to say it happened. That one I'm okay with. But the whole I can punch you in the face, but you can't punch me in the face, that's too far. That's too far. Now, if it looked like I punched you in the face, they're not going to, or if it looked like I missed, they're going to give me the benefit of the doubt because I'm a superstar and say, oh, it looked like you missed, so I'm not going to call it. It looked like you did it, so I'm going to call it. I'm okay if it's close, but if it's just flat out, you can do something and I can't, right? Like, who was it? I want to say it was Ja. I think you broke down the tape where he makes this stutter move and takes 3 steps in between. And it's just like, dude, it's either travel or it's not a travel.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going crazy, Tom, when I saw that. I'm thinking, wait a minute, is this legit? I'm not.
One player isn't allowed to take 5 steps and the other 2, right? Let's make it 3 or 4. I'm okay with it.
That looks super weird
with it being close. Although I will say this, I watched that, and I don't know that I agree with this because it was, look, he went under the ball. It should have been called, I don't know if it's palming, carrying. They changed the terms a lot. But between dribbles, technically, you can take as many steps as you want in between dribbles. You just can't do this with, Anyway, that being said. All right. Now that my Grizzlies tied it up, do you feel like that series is going to be longer than you expected, that 5 game, or do my Grizzlies have a shot?
I still feel the same way I feel, Tone. And the reason why I feel like that is simply because what I saw from Ja Morant. And the reason why I say that is because Steve Kerr did a great job in matching athleticism before Gary Payton II got hurt, right? Mm-hmm. Match the athleticism. I'm going to go with Gary Payton II. I'm going to go with Poole. I'm going to go with Kuminga, who I'm very glad he inserted him into the lineup, and Poole. And what I'm going to do is, at the end, my vets are going to end it. And your vet was better than my vet. Now, what did it take for your vet to be better than mine? 47? If that's what it's going to take, then I'm clapping hands, and I'm giving you a handshake, and I'm tipping my hat. Because I have a very difficult time believing that Ja's going, if that's what it's going to take for them to just be competitive in this series, Tone. Not just because, remember, we had a 1-possession game. Yeah. We had a 1-possession game.
Lost by 1 by 5. It's tight.
And they didn't need some or more. They didn't need some or most. They need every bit of those 47 points that Ja gave them. And last I checked, Steph and Klay are not very good in this series. They have not been very good. I think Desmond Bane has been doing a really good job defensively on him. Now, the difference is Desmond Bane's offense has suffered because of it. But I also think that chasing Steph off the 3-point line and making those guys put the ball on the floor and force them into tough shots has made them miss a lot of shots. Now, when I think about this group, Tone, it's a lot different with Desmond Bane and Dillon Brooks having to cover, D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards than it is Steph and Klay. That's not the same 2 dudes. So I think Brandon Clark has given them a tremendous lift. I thought Zaire Williams gave them a big lift coming in offensively. Now, going forward, if it's going to take 47 from Ja or 40 plus from Ja, I don't think he's going to hold up. I still think that they make quick work of him. I do.
I'll tell you this because I know how people love their recency biases. If Ja averages 40 for this series and they somehow win, wait to hear the greatest point guard of all time
ever. He's better than Kyrie. He's better than Magic. He's better than Steph. He's better than Stock. Not line them all. Isaiah Thomas. All of them. He's better than all of these guys.
Oh yeah. ESPN will have is Ja in the GOAT debate?
Here we go. Oh my god.
All right, we're not going to get into that. All right, the other series that is now tied is the Bucks and the Celtics. I thought the Bucks were just going to cakewalk through this. Celtics put a beating on them.
Well,
23 points in a playoff game against the defending champs.
Absolutely.
Hey, well done.
Well, the first problem that we have in is game one, where Jaylen Brown let Grayson Allen play him to a tie. If we're going to be competitive in this series, because they're already, I said before the series started, Tony, I felt like knowing that Middleton was out for the series, I felt like Jaylen Brown was the X factor, because you're going to get what you're going to get from Giannis, and I don't mean I want to take out points. Not take out points. I don't want to amplify points, and I want to elevate the rest of the things that Giannis does. How important he is overall as a player to them, not just from buckets, because he gives them so much. So you're going to get everything that you're going to get from Giannis, right? I think that Drew Holiday outplays Marcus Smart or whatever point guard that they have, because I think that he's better. I always felt like with Middleton out, I think Jaylen Brown was the difference in this series. And I think that him going after Grayson Allen, making it a point that I'm going to go after him. And not only am I going to go after him, I'm going to go after him often and early. And I'm going to set the tone. Tone, I'm telling you right now on our show today, once the game slows down for Jason Tatum, we are going to have a serious conversation about him being the best player in the game. Once the game hasn't slowed down for him yet.
I keep waiting for that to happen.
The game, and when I say that it hasn't slowed down for him, I'm talking about in the next year, 2 years tops. You and I are going to have a very serious conversation about Jason Tatum being the best player in the game. Once the game slows down and he implements that mid-range in his game more, where you and I are going to have a very serious conversation about him being the best player in the game. Now, I thought that they did the job that they did on Giannis, Grant Williams, and Al Horford. It was pretty simple, Tony. It wasn't really that complex. It was basically, I'm going to let you bring the fight to me, because that's who Giannis is, Tony. Giannis is that guy who he's going to come after you. And and Al Horford and Grant Williams, I'm going to bring the fight to you. You're going to bring the fight to me, and I'm going to stand my ground. Now, the game opened up for Giannis in the third quarter, simply because I equate it to being a carpenter, Tone. Like, you see a guy working on something, and he's having a difficult time, and then he realizes in the process of that I got something in my bag that I forgot that I had, and then he gets it out of he got a tool out of his bag, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, this is a lot simpler. This isn't nearly as difficult. Well, it turns out Giannis now realized, wait a minute, I do have this mid-range in my game. And now he starts to knock that down, and then the game started to open up for him a little bit more. And now he puts Al Horford and he puts Grant Williams on their heels, where they got to make a decision. Am I just going to eat this, or am I going to crowd him? If I crowd him, now he's going to get step arounds. Now he's going to bowl me over. And now I'm in a bind. So I think the difference in this series, Tone, and I stand on it, I think it's Jaylen Brown. He's the guy who, if he brings what he brings. He's going to be that X factor. Or like we say, he's not. I still think Tatum's the best player on the team. Yes. Jaylen Brown's production might be the most important for that team. Especially if you get 30 and 30. What they get, 30 and 29 out of Tatum and Brown. Like that's impressive. The other thing, though, I think the Bucks really saw how much they missed Chris Middleton in game 2. And by what I mean is, typically, if you look at just the stat line, which you shouldn't, but if you did, you'd see Giannis was 28, 9, and 7. And you'd be like, okay, they probably were in that game. No, they got blown out by 20 plus. Well, why did they get blown out by 20 plus? Because typically what you see with that stat line of Giannis's is like 11 of 17, 11 of 18. But instead, he was 11 of 27. Well, those extra 10 shots are normally Chris Middleton's, where he hits kind of 5 of 10. So on top of his 28, you're getting 15, 17, typically 20, but you're going to get 20 out of Middleton on 10 or 15 field goal attempts. That wasn't now somebody else took some of the other ones, but so that efficiency, right, that Giannis typically would do that 28, 9, and 7 in wasn't there. 11 of 20, he cannot go 11 of 27. That just can't happen. They're going to be dead. And so he has to figure out, like you said, hey, let me hit these couple of these mid-range maybe early, make the defense be honest, and now I can drive past and do what I do down low. Otherwise, they're going to be in trouble.
they're going to be in trouble. So we're going to see that's might actually become a series now, and they're going to really feel that Chris Middleton pain, especially like you said, if Jaylen Brown steps up. The other two series, the reason I started with those two, because I think those two are going to be longer than we expected. At least, listen, I have the Grizz, so clearly I have that one. But I think both series are going to go, 6 games at minimum now. The other two series look like, I think we might, unless something drastic changes in game 3 with, going back home, like these might be real quick. Let's start with the Heat and the Sixers. Heat are now up 2-0. Tyler Herro wins the 6th Man of the Year award. Why don't I like Tyler Herro? Is it the snarling face that he makes, or is that what it is? Is it the haircut? What is it about Tyler Herro that I want to smack him?
That reason right there, Tone, exactly what you said. Tyler Herro's from the other side of town, but he comes to the rough part of town, and he kind of suggests that he's down when in reality he's really not. But he's really good.
He's really good. Oh, he's really good.
He's really good. But the other part is what's aggravating you, which it shouldn't. Because his game, it really, and the reason why I shouldn't, Tone, is because his game says it all. Like, yo, I'm really about that life. Yes, I am.
There's one thing about being. When I see people meet, I used to listen. Kevin Garnett was mean mugging people all the time, and I didn't like that. Maybe it's just I don't like that. Just the snarling,
Because and add all of that up to the fact that his game, it adds up. If he was doing all of that stuff and his game was maybe average or a little above average, you'd be like, whatever, this dude is a clown. But the fact that his game is actually adding up to that extracurricular stuff, that's kind of aggravating you, Tone. And the reason why it's aggravating you is simply because he's balling. So you got a little bit of hate in you, Tone. We got to get that out of you.
See, but it's
you got a little bit of hate in you.
Because when he was playing well, I think in the bubble, remember there was that meme of him, and then he didn't play well after that.
Right.
And then now he's playing well again, and he's doing it again. And I'm just like, and so I'm just like, no, I want to see that all the time. Like I always say this when whoever I play for the 30 years, I've always said this. I can go 20 for 20, and I'm gonna be talking smack. I can go 0 for 20, and I'm gonna be talking smack. It's the 10th time I've said this today. I just want you to be consistent. So you know what? You want to be mean mugging people and growling. Do it when. Not when you're just not. I don't like front runners. Don't just do it when you're winning. That was about the. You know what I mean? I was about to say. It's also Joel Embiid. It drives me nuts with it. When he's flying his plane. Oh yeah, but when you lose, you're on the sideline crying, right? Like, just maybe tone down the. I'm Hulk Hogan theatrics, right? Just bring it in, tighten it up a little bit. So same with Herro. I'm not saying. Look, when you don't just showboat with. I don't know. Let's call
it what it is, Tone. I know what you're saying, and let's call it what it is, Tone. He's a front runner. That's all it is. He's a front runner.
I'm making my shots.
Yeah, and that's what's aggravating.
Right. I'm missing everything. I don't say a word.
He's quiet, right?
So what I suggest is either have that. I don't mind. I had the most. Have that bravado, even when you aren't playing well, because it might help you. That confidence of I remember I always used to say. I don't shoot to. Actually, I'm stealing this from OG Anunoby. I don't shoot to miss, but I also felt every shot I took was going in.
Right.
Every single one. I'm calling bucket. I'm like, dude, you airballed by 20 feet. I felt it was going in. I don't know. You shot it with your foot. Yeah, I know. I still felt it was going in. So I feel like he can either lift up that when he's not playing well, or tone it down when you are playing well, because the gap of how far you are when you're losing to when you're winning, I think is too big for me. For me, that's okay. All right, so Sixers and Heat, do you think there's a shot? Or is this 4-5 and they're done?
I think they make quick work of Philadelphia, even when Joel Embiid comes back, whether they get him in game 3 or whether they get him in game 4. The key is them not having Joel Embiid and Miami taking advantage of him, which is what I told you was the difference in that Utah-Dallas series. They lost that series in game 2 when they gave Dallas that game with Luka out. If those guys are at a disadvantage, you got to take advantage of that. Now, the difference in this series, Tom, it hasn't been Jimmy Butler. It hasn't been Bam Adebayo. The difference in this series, Tom, has been Miami's bench. Philadelphia has got nothing from their bench. Miami's bench has outscored Philadelphia in this series in their bench 94-21, including Mr. George Niang, who is a D&3 guy. 1 for 10 on the long ball. He's given them nothing. 0. Danny Green has not given them much. Hey, Tone, I stand on it when I say that if Maxey, I put Maxey in the same category with guys like DeJounte Murray and Darius Garland. Like
I really like Maxey's game.
If he had his own crew, I think that we'd be talking about him like we talk about DeJounte Murray and how we talk about that, because his ability, his upside looks like that. I think he could be an all-star guard, maybe even an all-league guard at some point. He reminds me, and I had the conversation with a buddy of mine. He reminds me of a more athletic version of Derek Harper. That's what I look at when I see Maxey.
A much more athletic.
Yes.
Especially from a speed perspective.
Yes.
I know I'm jumping way ahead. First off, actually, let me say one thing on the Miami side, because they have played really, really well, like the team, right? When you get 20-ish almost from Bam, Butler, Herro, and this guy, welcome back, Victor Oladipo. Like, man, he's had such bad luck with injuries and etc. It was so good to see him play so well last night. But if he's giving them 18, 19 points, they're in a whole lot of trouble too.
Yeah.
To Philadelphia, is it ridiculous to say that Maxey playing this well in the playoffs? We knew what he did in the regular season. We talked about him multiple times in the regular season. Could he be making James Harden expendable? Could we be seeing another James Harden trade?
I was just about to say that, Tone. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was just thinking that, could we build this unit around him and Joel Embiid? Because we're going to have him longer than we're going to have James Harden. That's number one. Yeah. And I can appreciate who James Harden is. I'm watching James Harden, and that blow-by speed, that ability to create and get to the basket, Tone, it's not what it used to be. I'm watching him, and he's on the other side of that. So to go 4 years, $200 million, meanwhile, I got this young guy over here who's got a ridiculous upside, and possibly letting him walk out the front door, we got a decision to make. We absolutely have a decision to make. I'm not sure that I want to go 4 years at $200 million on James Harden. I'm not sure that I want to do that, because now, in order for me to say that, Tone, I have to ask myself, is Maxey going to be better than James Harden is right now? Is he going to be better in 2 years than what James Harden is right now? I don't see why. I don't see why that's nuts. I think
Maxey's better than Harden right now. Right now. Now, is he better than what James Harden was at his peak? No.
I ain't talking about that. No,
I ain't talking about that. But to your point, 4 years, $200 million, what I'm saying is, in that year 4, when I'm paying him $50 million, am I going to be happy with that contract? My answer is, I'm not happy paying him $50 million today. He's not getting better. Harden isn't getting better. He isn't going to miraculously have a full training camp, come into the season healthy for the first time in his career, and be a good guy, and everyone's going to love him. And that's not happening. He's on the wrong side of his career. I'm not paying him $50 million, but someone will. So if I could do a sign and trade, there's a team out there that's going to make that mistake, right? I can flip him for something, even if it's a draft pick. But in reality, I think there's something I can get for him.
Well, what I can't do, Tone, is I can't just let him walk out the front door like Danny Ainge did with
Actually, you know what? I would let as opposed to no. If I can't find a trade partner, I'm letting him walk.
I can't let him walk out the front door. Somebody's going to trade for him. I got no problem with that. I got no problem with that.
You're more likely to get fired as a GM for signing him to a 4-year, $200 million contract than you are letting him walk for nothing. If those are your only two options, which one are you picking?
I'm gonna pick. I can't pick sign.
Pick one of two. You gotta pick one.
I can't let him sign. I can't just sign him. But I can't let him walk out the front door neither, Tone. Because what's gonna end up happening is I'm gonna lose him, and I'm gonna hold on to that money, right? I'm gonna hold on to that money. I'm not concerned with drafting right now. And well, the reason why I'm not that concerned with drafting right now is because we're in that space where, like, we're the 2, 3, 4 seed in the East, where we're not getting high picks. So we basically got to build our unit. We got to build our unit through free agency, and we got to build our unit through trading. Now, hopefully these guys are going to get better. Like Maxey's going to get better. Maxey's gotten better each season. So now I got to make a decision as a general manager. Am I building my unit around this kid Maxey, or am I prepared to win? Am I prepared to win? Right now. Well, It's not looking like it. And the reason why it's not looking like it because Joel Embiid is out of the lineup. All right, I can appreciate that. But once Joel Embiid gets back in the lineup, can I win? James Harden has proven throughout his career, once we get later on in the playoffs, he starts to dwindle. And he starts to wither simply because he doesn't take care of his body. He's shown us that. Kevin McHale told us this in 2015. James Harden came into camp out of shape. And he's been doing that ever since. That was 2015. So that was 7 seasons ago. And he's still doing it today. Well, he had a hamstring issue. The reason why he had a hamstring issue is because he wasn't in shape. That was the problem.
I'm trying to trade him. If not, he's walking. Let me say this. You know what I hate about history books? I know you're a history buff.
I am.
The history books are going to say first year 1 misses the playoffs. Second year, first round exit. Third year, first round exit. I believe fourth year, second round exit. I believe. Doncic is in his 4th year.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Yeah, so it's going to say no playoffs, first round, second round. And people be like, wow, he stunk. I'm
Which
be like,
isn't true.
No, he didn't.
Not true. No, he did not.
One of the best 5 players in the NBA every single season he's been here.
Fact.
It was just that he didn't have the roster around him because he goes for 35 last night. He does his part. They lose by 20. Now, granted, Phoenix is on another level right now. I think everyone's going to have a really hard time. Phoenix, this might be the cherry on Chris Paul's career. Finally, he may get his ring. That team is that good, right? That they look that good right now, which would be great for him. He needs it. But man, Dallas doesn't even like. I feel like that he's playing 1-on-5 sometimes. Well, maybe 1.5. I'll give him Brunson. And I know I've said this about their roster, but is there anything you saw from the Mavericks that makes you think this isn't going to be a sweep?
No, there isn't anything that I saw from the Mavericks. When I look at Jalen Brunson and I look at how he attacked Mike Conley and how he just beat Mike Conley up and went after Mike Conley and constantly kept him on the defense, he thought that he was going to be able to do that against Chris Paul. Completely different. Not only is Chris Paul a better defender, but Chris Paul actually turned it around on him and put him on the defense, which is what he wasn't prepared for. He was not prepared to play against a better offensive player. This backcourt of Chris Paul and Booker, they basically went after Jalen Brunson and Finney-Smith. Absolutely they did. Now, the difference which I saw yesterday, and I was surprised, which would explain why Phoenix got off to the slow start that they got off to, was Ayton didn't come out as aggressive as he did in game 1. And that's why they didn't go to him as often as they did. In game 1, he started the game 4 for 6. And the reason why he started the game 4 for 6 is because he was aggressive. He was rim running. He was rebounding. He was getting out in the break, right? He was manning the paint. Well, when he does that, that resonates throughout the rest of the group. That energy resonates throughout the rest of the group. Well, it didn't. He didn't do that yesterday. And because he didn't do that, they got off to a slow start. Luka got going. But when I look at what Luka is doing with them switching on to him, that's not going to matter. So the game plan looks to me, Tone, like we're going to eat Luka's production. The rest of you dudes, we're going to shut the door on you. Finney-Smith, 2 points. Jalen Brunson, 9 points. Yeah. Now, Reggie Bullock, being the D&3 guy that he is, he was solid yesterday, and he did his job. Spencer Dinwiddie didn't look like Spencer Dinwiddie has in the past. And I think the difference is those guys that Phoenix defensively, Tone, I think that's the difference because I think they're the most complete team in basketball right now, both on the offensive and defensive end of the floor. I think that starts with Mikal Bridges. I think he does such a great job, and not just on ball defending, just keeping the ball away from guys when they get off the ball. And if they could continue that, I don't think that the other guys on the Dallas unit can do anything to combat that. Now I can appreciate the logic. We're going home. Phoenix didn't do anything that was out of the ordinary, which they didn't, Tone. Right. All they did was defend their home floor. So now all the heat is on Dallas. You have to defend your home floor. But I stand on the notion, Tone, and I always felt like this. If you're better than me, you should be able to whoop me anywhere. Don't make a difference where we are.
Absolutely.
Doesn't make a difference where we are.
I'm really surprised. I'm not surprised. I've been telling you this, and you say, why don't you trust Ayton? And I keep telling you because he's inconsistent. Right. Sometimes he comes out aggressive. Sometimes he doesn't. I'm waiting for him to be. That's the theme of today's show. Today's episode is called consistency. But here's the thing with Ayton, because he's inconsistent, I love I love their big man rotation of Ayton, Bam, Biyombo. I was gonna say Bam, Biyombo, and JaVale McGee, who, shame on you, Shaq, for making everyone think this poor kid was this Shaqting a fool character, because he's actually turned in a really nice. So look, he's not a superstar, but he's turned in a really solid career. He plays defense. He gets the loops. He gets rebounds. Like, he does his thing. Now, okay, he's made a lot of Shaqting a fool kind of stuff throughout his career, but good for him, right? Like, he keeps playing hard. I like. I have a soft spot for JaVale.
There's a flip side to that, Tom. If the Phoenix Suns win the NBA championship, this would be JaVale McGee's. No, not third.
Third team, though. Fourth title, but third team, correct?
That's correct.
That's what I was saying. Third team, yes.
Fourth ring.
It's pretty good.
Keep going, Tom. I just want to throw that in there real quick.
Here's the funny part. So it's interesting because originally I made a joke that Crowder, every team he's been on, loses the NBA Finals.
The curse of Jay Crowder. That's what it is, Tom.
So we'll
see. Curse of Jay Crowder.
Is the curse of Jay stronger than the luck of JaVale? That's what's combating
the
here.
The curse of Jay Crowder.
The whole universe might implode, because it's like if you meet yourself in the past, and it's destroys the space-time continuum. But yeah, no, it's just Dallas is doing the best they can, and they lose by 20. And like I said, when I think Paul and Booker, I'm looking at it here, 22 of 35, 6 of 10 from 3. Plus combined 10 boards, 12 assists. Like, if you get that from your backcourt, that's why you lose by 20. That's why you lose by 20. So I have no faith.
Well, Book made it. It looked like Book made it look like he made a conscious effort to go after Finney Smith. Whenever Finney Smith was covering him, he went after him, and he went after him early and often. And Chris Paul made that clear that you started, I'll finish it. You started out kind of like what Jaylen Brown did with Jason Tatum. You started, and I'll finish it. And that's kind of what it looked like to me.
Yeah. So I think that one's done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Speaking of space-time continuum, we're going to go back in time. I don't know if it's back in time so much, into our greatest NBA franchise of all time. We're down to the Final Four. We've got the Sixers and the Bucks in the East for the Eastern Conference Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Starting guard, Maurice Cheeks, Dr. J, Julius Erving, Charles Barkley, Dolph Schayes, Moses Malone, Allen Iverson.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be competing against the Bucks. And here's the team for the Bucks, if I can find their lineup, because it's a good one. Bucks, here we go. We've got 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, Sidney Moncrief. We've got the second greatest three-point shooter of all time, who used to be the greatest, Jesus Shuttlesworth. I mean, Ray Allen.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Oscar Robertson, who averages like 30, 10, and 10 for his career. Giannis Antetokounmpo, who has quickly become, like, you can't keep him out of conversations of top 20 of all time at this point, especially if he gets, I think if he wins this year in the finals and gets a finals MVP, 100%, but even if he makes it to the finals, we're going to have that conversation. Offensive, defensive, crazy. Oh, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, just the greatest scorer of all time at his absolute best, which is when he was on the Bucks. And Glenn Robinson, we're just going to throw in Glenn Robinson, big dog, who can shoot the lights out, just in case we need any extra scoring off the bench.
Well, here's what I want to do, Tone. I want to take Sidney Moncrief, and I want to swap him out with Big Dog, and I want to put Oscar at the 1. That's what I want.
Yeah. We've actually talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna put Oscar at the 1 because he's 6'5",
yes,
right? We want him matching up. We want the bigger lineup. Okay.
I want him, and I want Sidney Moncrief coming off the bench. And I'm looking at this unit. Oscar being a distributor that he is. Let's remember, Oscar averaged 10 assists for 8 straight years. So him getting Giannis involved, him getting Jabbar involved, right?
And putting Glenn Robinson and Ray Allen on the wings,
yes,
they're going to be shooting the lights out. Man, you can't double team out Kareem and Giannis. The lanes are going to be wide open.
But with the flip side to that too, Tone, is, Doc can transition because the Philadelphia 76ers, they're going to speed the game up too. Moses is going to get that thing off the backboard and he's kicking it out to Mo Cheeks, and they're going to speed the game up too. So the athleticism is going to be there. And a lot of people don't want to talk about this, but Moses gives Jabbar everything. Not some or most. He gives him everything that he's looking for. Everything. Every time he plays.
Can I put Dolph Schayes on the bench? Can I put Dolph Schayes on the bench and have Cheeks and Iverson in the backcourt and move Barkley to his more natural 4 and Dr. J to the 3?
That's what I was thinking.
Because we want to run, right? We want to. No offense to Dolph Schayes, he ain't running nowhere.
Right.
I was gonna make a joke, but okay, yeah. I won't. He's not running up and down the court. Let's just say that.
Okay. I was actually surprised you went with Dolph Schayes and not Billy Cunningham. I mean, and not Billy Cunningham, but Billy. I was surprised you went with Dolph Schayes and not Billy Cunningham, but Doug Collins. I was surprised that you did that.
I actually do like Billy Cunningham better, but don't forget Dominic. I'm trying to keep Dominic's teams as consistent as possible.
I can appreciate that, but when I look at this, when I look at the landscape of this group, I look at rebounding and I look at defense and that Milwaukee Buck team. I think that not just rebounding and defense, I think that they give Philadelphia hell. I think that they beat Philly in 6 games.
Oh yeah. Yeah, mm-hmm. I think if Allen Iverson gets hot, I feel like Sidney Moncrief might be the only player I can think of that doesn't stop him. Let's be honest, you're not stopping great scores. I think he gives him all he can handle, though. I think he makes his life real difficult. And Moses, you're right. Moses Malone, I feel, is the most underrated of all the big men that we talk about. Very few people bring up Moses Malone's name, and they should. Because he was that guy, and I always bring up what I say is the worst team to ever make an NBA final, which was I believe it's the Rockets team that had a losing record with Moses Malone on that team. And I say, take him off, they might win 0 games. They might go 0-82 without him on that team. That's how important. Like, go look at that team, and so I'm with you. I think he makes it interesting, and I love the mat, like Charles Barkley running up and down. But just let's be honest. Charles Barkley was crazy athletic. We see him now, and it looks like a bump on the log. But dude was for what he did, he was. But you got to say a guy who's even more athletic and a foot taller in Giannis matching up with him. He's gonna, it's not gonna happen. So yeah, I'm with you on the Bucks. All right, so the Bucks are Eastern Conference champions. To the West, we have the Golden State / Philadelphia Warriors. Memory serves me correctly. You're the historian. I'll just call them the Warriors. So Paul
Arizon. There you go.
Steph Curry, Rick Barry, Nate Thurman, Wilt Chamberlain, Chris Mullin. Nice lineup. Going up against the Los Angeles Lakers, Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Elgin Baylor.
You can stop right there, Tone. You don't even got to go any further. You can stop the lineups right when you say that right there. Magic, Bryant, Elgin Baylor. We can stop right.
Or I could do the other 3. I could just say Kareem, Shaq, and Jerry West.
We're done. Like, while we having this conversation, we're finished. Right? But keep going. I'm sorry.
So Elgin. Okay, let me do it again. Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Elgin Baylor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaq, Jerry West.
Unbelievable.
So it's interesting. We saw Kareem and Wilt, but it was Wilt later, right? But could you imagine Lakers Shaq versus Wilt?
I said a long time ago, Tone, that I'm pretty sure that Shaq. I'm sure that Chamberlain looked at Shaq when Shaq first came into the league and thought, "What I wouldn't give to be 21 years old to go up against him. Oh, I would love to go up because I would have ate that boy lunch." Just to look at Jabbar, just to look at Shaq, and just to look at Chamberlain, and Chamberlain almost seeing a lot of himself in terms of physical dominance, going, "Oh, I would love to go up against him," just to see where he was. And that would have been fantastic. Absolutely, that would have been fantastic.
Okay, so like if I look at the backcourt, Magic and Kobe versus Paul and Steph.
So we got plenty of scoring, Tony. And you already mentioned to me that Magic, Jabbar, they're going to keep Kobe in line. Yeah. So with that being said, I think Kobe, and again, we're talking about the Bryant who was the great Laker. Like, we ain't talking about Kobe. We ain't talking about Kobe
at his absolute best, yeah.
I think he takes on the assignment of Steph Curry. I'm shutting the door on this dude. I think he could.
people could call me crazy. I think he picked Steph up full court and look, you're not gonna shut down Steph either, but man, he's gonna make him work. It's gonna be one of those, oh, Steph had a bad shooting game. No, Steph was exhausted.
No, he did not have but don't make it sound like he had a bad shooting game because he couldn't shoot. There was a reason why Kobe dealt with him. So with that being said, I think Kobe takes on the assignment, and not only does he take on the assignment, I think he goes after Steph Curry and he makes his life miserable.
And I'm actually more worried on the defensive end, right? With how are those guys going to stop? Because the lineup is 6'9" Magic, 6'6" Bryant, I forget how tall Elgin Baylor was. Was he 6'7"? 6'7"? 7 foot Kareem, 7 foot Shaq. Oh, and Jerry West, who I've said before, if Steph Curry played in Jerry West's era without a 3-point line, Steph is like a more athletic, better ball handling, but scoring wise, he's Jerry West. But that's why I have coming off the bench. So yeah, I sound biased, but I got my Lakers in 6.
I got them in 5, Tom.
Oh, even better.
I think they mopped the floor with the Warriors in 5. And the reason why they mopped the Warriors in 5.
You don't think Wilt gives them a chance scoring 50 a night?
And Wilt can absolutely give them a chance of scoring 50 a night. But Jabbar, Shaq, and Elgin Baylor, that front court, you can't match that. Not only offensively, but defensively too. You cannot match that. I like
Rick Barry, Chris Mullin, and Nate Thurman, another big man that I don't think gets enough love.
Nate Thurman.
Yeah, there's going to be a problem there. Okay, so we've got on the next episode the Bucks versus the Lakers. What should have been this year's NBA final? Let's be honest. Okay, let's move to conspiracy. Dun dun dun. So let me read you a little bit about the 2004 World Series. As we know, the Boston Celtics, I'm still in basketball mode. The Boston Red Sox were dealing with the curse of the Bambino. They traded Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees, and they were cursed forever. Now, when in 2004, it would have been, I believe, 86. I'm looking for the exact years.
That's correct.
86 years that they were without a title. Against all odds, the Red Sox would go on to win the pennant and the 100th World Series, lifting the curse forever. However, Curt Schilling, their ace starter, suffered an ankle injury, and it appeared in Game 6 that he had a bloody sock. So I'm going to put the picture up maybe here or maybe in the middle. I'll put up the picture of his bloody sock. The conspiracy goes like this. Schilling went on to have the bloody sock, a bloody sock. I think it actually might have been in Game 2. But anyways, so some people said it was blood. Some people said it was Heinz ketchup. I'm going to read. There's a whole story here. I'm not going to read it. But basically, the blood-stained sock of Curt Schilling against the St. Louis Cardinals in the first inning of Game 2 of the World Series at Fenway Park in Boston in 2004. So, the conspiracy, for those that don't know, is, did he really hurt his ankle so bad that he cut it and it was bleeding through his sock? Or was he pulling a Paul Pierce, pretending he was injured and just going to the bathroom and coming out in a wheelchair to try to recreate Willis Reed's epic comeback in the playoffs? Was it just Heinz ketchup for a storyline?
That whole Heinz ketchup nonsense. I think he had surgery on that ankle, and something about his ankle being chafed, and it was chafed really bad. I think that was, and I also think he got kicked too, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm 100% certain that he was actually injured. So that's absolutely nuts, Tone, to think about him not or Heinz ketchup. Well, first of all, the ketchup would have been a lot thicker, and it would have stayed in one spot, and it wouldn't have moved at all. I don't think that would have worked. So, no, I'm not buying that conspiracy theory at all. No.
So Curt Schilling was never a media darling.
No, he
wasn't. And the cameraman kept kind of cutting to the picture of the sock and showing the blood. And when the media doesn't like you, right, it's just like when they do like you, they can spin a narrative. And the narrative was he did this as a show to try and kind of help build up his, superhero status. Mm-hmm. But you believe he actually, and it was either ketchup or paint. I like the ketchup story better than paint. But he was trying to inflate his own heroics by doing that.
No.
You don't believe it
hurt.
at all?
I don't believe it at all. He was hurt. Yes, he was. That was nonsense. The fact that they tried to conjure up a story about him manufacturing ketchup. No, he was really hurt. Yes, he was.
So there was a second sock, and it sold. The last time it sold at auction, it may have sold again since, but the last time I had seen it, it was sold for just over $92,000.
Wow, that's pretty impressive right there.
Can we do a DNA test and see if that's blood ketchup?
And you'll get a 100% match. Yes, you will.
All right. So on a scale of 1 to 10, did Curt Schilling doctor the sock with something? Let's call it ketchup, but it could be anything other than blood to inflate his own heroics, or did he really just have a bloody sock and he pitched through it and good for him?
He really had a bloody sock and he pitched through it.
Okay, so 10 conspiracy true, 0 false.
Zero. It's a 0 conspiracy. 0.
I 100% believe Curt Schilling put ketchup on his sock to make himself. Listen, did Paul Pierce not have diarrhea and came back on a wheelchair?
I don't know what that story was about, Tone. I thought that he was out. He's grimacing, and they got him on a wheelchair. He's covered up, and I'm thinking he's done for the night. And he runs out of the tunnel. I'm like, what the hell happened?
Exactly. So that's why I 100% believe Curt Schilling did something, doctored that sock to make himself look better. And let me tell you this, I would have done the same thing. Now, that being said, it says Heinz ketchup. So speaking of Heinz, do you know how Heinz says Heinz? I'm going to give you a little trivia before we go. Heinz 57 on it.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the label? Do you know what the 57 is for?
I don't.
Most people don't. They say
not.
they always throw a bunch of ingredients in there. Heinz started as a pickle company. And when they started, their claim to fame was that Heinz had 57 varieties of pickles. And that's why it was Heinz 57. And now you're more fluent.
I am. Absolutely, I am.
I love me so. I 100% believe he doctored. And like I said, I've done the same thing. So I'm okay with that. $92,000. Would you pay $92,000 for a ketchup stained sock?
No, I will.
Would you pay $92,000 for a blood stained sock?
It'd be hard for me to pay $92,000 for almost anything, to be honest with you.
Now listen, the only way I'd pay $92,000 for a bloody sock is if it was like the sock that Michael Jackson wore when he first did the first moonwalk, and maybe those loafers cut his ankle and he bled on it, because I know I could sell it for $9 million. That'd be the only
or $90 million.
That's the only time I would pay. Those better be some special socks for $92,000.
1,000% return on that. Yeah, I'm absolutely doing that. No doubt about it.
Oh man. All right, so things are going to change. Things are going to change for Fluent and Chill. This is our last episode like this. So I'm not going to say it's going to happen right away, but I want to put it out there for people. We're going to add in some help. So we're going to bring in a moderator to kind of help keep us on pace. Mm-hmm. We're going to start going live Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. So get your coffee ready. Wake up with Fluent and Chill. That's going to be, I think, in 2 weeks from now, we're going to start that. Next week, we're going to be live together in Tampa. So stay tuned for those episodes. Those are going to be a lot of fun. We got the NBA playoffs. We're going to talk some more NFL, whatever news comes up. But of course, send us your comments, send us your ideas. I will want to say this, because we're coming to a close on this greatest franchise of all time, because we have Lakers versus Bucks. But I already have the next thing ready. And here's what the next thing is. The greatest one-on-one tournament of all time. We're going to start with, now, I at first I thought maybe just taking the top 20 of the top 75 of all time and putting them against you, but not all those guys are great one-on-one players. So I'm going to put it out to Fluent and Chill Nation and say, okay, who are the greatest one-on-one players of all time? We're going to rank them 1 through 20. 20 should be enough.
20 is good.
And we're going to do the same kind of bracket as we did with the greatest franchise and see who is the greatest one-on-one basketball player of all time. I believe I'm going to give myself 3 rounds of bye so that I can make it to the quarterfinal. Would you like to be in this tournament? But I'm going to lose the first round, whoever I play against. But
I will not be.
You don't want to be in? Okay.
No, sir.
All right, I'll leave myself out. Because I'd be a clear cut. I suck. FYI, I'll admit this. I stunk at 101. I was so much of a team basketball. Like I'm team. Like I will set a screen for you. I need you to set a screen for me. I know everyone's position. I will admit, for whatever reason, I stunk at 101. Were you?
I was actually a really good one-on-one player. Yes, I was. I when I was coming up, Tone, I honed my game after guys like Jordan, after guys like Joe Dumars. I became a really good one-on-one player. That because I played the guard spot, and I knew that I had to score. And in order for me to score, I had to become a good one-on-one player. I worked on those things. I became a solid one-on-one player. Yeah.
I very much went from I want to be like Magic. Because I was my favorite player, and I was like, I want to pass, and I was a good passer, but I was just like, oh, I'm a really good shooter. All right, just set a screen for me. I'll come it off, and I'll just shoot. And so with 1-on-1, the problem is I don't like playing defense, and when you play 1-on-1, you can't. There's no help defense in 1-on-1. No, 2-on-1 I'm in. I'm all.
Yeah.
I'm all for
that
it.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, no, it didn't work. It didn't work that well. All right, that's it for this episode of Fluid and Chill. Until next time,
take it light, but take it.
Yes, sir.
It's the only thing we understand. I'ma stand till on Jersey in the stands. I'ma hit you on a slide. I don't never slip.